Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, thanks for stopping by. Today we're going to be working on this Halloween BAT swirl tumbler, and I absolutely love the way this one came together. I don't know, lately I felt like I always have to use a decal or printed vinyl, so it was fun to just go back to my roots, I guess you could say, and just do something fun with some glitter. I started off by using a 30-ounce straight tumbler from the tumbler supply store, and I spray painted it in this swirl pattern. I did purple, black, green, black, orange, black to complete a swirl around the tumbler. And then I'm starting off with a chunkier glitter in each color. Actually, I let that dry, then I applied epoxy, just a really thin coat, and then I'm going in with a chunky glitter to start with each color. This purple is from Diamonds and Dust, and it's called That's My Jam. And I went in and just, we're not really doing a perfect blend or anything, but I'm just going in on each coordinating color for that glitter, and we're just going to lightly coat it, not give it a super heavy coat, but just coat it enough that it's laid down in its coordinating color. This neon green glitter is also from Diamonds and Dust, and it is Bogus, and I'm trying to go in with each one a chunkier glitter first. It's not like a super chunky, but I didn't want a fine cut to start. I'm trying to give it a little bit of depth and dimension by starting off with a chunky glitter and then going in with a finer cut. And I'm not trying to like super blend them, but just kind of lay it down as like a foundation for this first layer. Now this orange one, it was one that I mixed up a while ago. I don't remember exactly the colors that I used for it because I didn't have it written down with this. They are all Diamonds and Dust glitters, but I just don't remember the blend that I used for them. Once I was all done with the orange, I went in with a black mixture that I had, and I know it was Black Beauty, I believe, but then to make it chunkier, I added in waterfalls. That's just something I've done, that if I want a color to be on the chunkier side, this waterfall glitter is perfect. It's kind of like a light color shift, but it picks up the color that it's mixed with, so it gives it almost like the perfect chunky blend without adding a color in there. So I added a little bit of that waterfalls to my black mixture, which I believe was just Black Beauty, and I think there was a little hint of silver in there. I don't remember. It was all Diamonds and Dust glitters, but I mixed that up so that I could have a chunky for my black as well. And then I applied that to all of the black spaces on the tumbler. After the chunkies were applied, we're going in with eggplant to cover up the purple area, and I didn't go too heavy. I just covered up where we had the chunky purple, and I'm still not really worried too much about blending it into the black areas because at the end we're going to add some color swirls on this tumbler, so it won't really matter how good of a blend you have, but I'm just sprinkling a little into the other color, the other black portion, so it gives it a slight blend. And then we're going to go in with this lime green, also from Diamonds and Dust, right over the chunky green. That one is Radical, so we're just going in on top of the chunky green, and then we're going to repeat with the orange. And for the orange we are using, let me think, I think the color is Copycat. Yes, Copycat. And I'm just going to go in right over the chunky orange for that section as well. For my finer cut on the black, I went in with my original mix, which was the Black Beauty and I want to say the silver is called Radius, but don't quote me on that, but it is Diamonds and Dust, and it's just the mixture that I used before I added the chunky waterfalls in there. So I just went over that with the black, and then this portion was all done, and I sprayed it. I let this dry for a while, and then I think I let it sit overnight, and then the next morning I sprayed it with 2 coats of clear glossy Rust-Oleum spray paint. Oh, I rolled it in some paper to help with those chunkies and help all the glitter lay down. And then that next morning, I sprayed it with 2 coats of glossy clear Rust-Oleum spray paint, let that dry, and then it got 2 coats of epoxy until it was completely smooth. My original idea for this was to just add some black bats up in one of the swirled colors, but then when I was going through my vinyl drawer to pick out some vinyl, I realized that I had all 3 colors, and it would look kind of cool to add some colored bats in the mixture of the black bats in each coordinating colored stripe, if that makes sense. So I cut some purple bats out, which they are a little hard to see. They match like perfectly, but I added some purple bats, and then I added some black bats into that swirl with it as well. And then I did the same thing for the orange bats and also for the green. For the neon green bats, I actually didn't have any vinyl, but I had the most perfect matching HTV, so I still cut it out of the HTV, and then I just used my heat gun and put it right over those bats, and then I let it cool to do a cold peel. And you can see it kind of came up on the edge, but I just pushed it back down and it was fine. I tried not to heat it too much because I don't want to mess up the epoxy by doing so much direct heat. And then after all the bats were applied, I added a thin coat of epoxy because I'm going to be adding the swirl and we don't want it to move. I just want it to kind of stay in place when I add these swirls because we don't want the swirl colors going all over the place. So when I mixed up my epoxy, I added a little bit to 4 individual cups, and I added paint, not alcohol ink. I wanted it very opaque for this look. So I added some neon orange paint, some bright purple neon paint, and some lime green neon paint, and then some black paint to each of those 4 cups. And then once I finished epoxying the cup, I heated it with my little mini torch, and then because there was just a little amount of the epoxy in each cup, when I added the paint, it kind of started to thicken up already. The longer you let it sit, the thicker it will become, and it will be more stringy. So you can see here, once I get to the purple, how stringy it is. But I try not to glop it on too much. I'm just kind of taking it on the end of my popsicle stick that I mixed it with and just kind of drawing a line, and I'm doing it on the edge of each of those colors. So on the edge of the green, you can see here I'm just going where each edge of the green is, and you can see here the purple, like I said, is getting kind of stringy. And be careful when you do that because sometimes the strings will go all over the place, and I didn't want them to blend in with the other colors. So I just added those to each of the colors, and then I took the one that I added the black paint to, and I just did a little bit of that swirl in each black glitter section as well. Once that layer of epoxy was dry, I gave it one more thin coat just to make sure it was nice and smooth. And then I wanted to go in and have some of the bats look like they were above the swirl marks. So some of them got kind of covered up. And so I just put the same color bat right over where the original bat was to just make them stand out to the front more so than the background. Then once that was done, I gave it 2 more final coats of epoxy and it was all done. And I am so in love with the way this one came out. I really enjoyed working on this. I haven't done a swirl in a long time, and it was fun to just bring out those Halloween colors. I'm not like a huge spooky Halloween type of person, but this one was so much fun. I love all the colors about Halloween and fall and stuff, so this one was a lot of fun to work on. It will be available on my website if you would like to purchase it, and stay tuned right here because I'm going to show you a fun little surprise. The neon green bats, they glow in the dark. It was the HTV that I had, and I thought it would be so much fun to add that element in there, just have it as like a little bonus surprise element in the design. And like usual, I will leave all of the information down in the description box, where to find me and all of the products that I used and some discount codes for you. And I really hope that you enjoyed this tutorial as much as I enjoyed working on it for you. And I will see you next week. Have a good rest of your week, and I'll see you then.